Hey, what's up, guys? Here in another video. This is the X22 report. I'll link their videos down below. It's over on Rumble, and it is amazing from start to finish, guys. If you like it, the link will be below.
Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this episode 3590BN. Today's date is March 7th, 2025, and the title of the episode is Shell Companies Exposed. Trump just cut off the deep state from Intel and exposed Ukraine. Talk about our health. The reason behind wrinkles isn't always in our control. It's more than about reducing stress and all these shell companies now. The deep state, the corrupt politicians, big tech, fake news, the puppet masters. Their entire criminal syndicate system is being exposed, one hidden shell company at a time. And now people are now looking for these shell companies, looking for these companies that actually don't even make sense because they just pop up about a year or two before they actually receive the money. They have no employees. There's no reason why they should be able to receive this money. Right. And all these shell companies now are being exposed. Now, the question is, why are these shell companies being popped up like this? Where's the money actually really going? And I do believe this is where Elon is going to come in. And this is where he's going to take the scalpel and be very, very delicate in following the money and find out where it exactly goes. And you're going to find out that this entire system is one gigantic criminal syndicate system where all the money flows not to these ridiculous programs. Yes, maybe a very, very small percentage just to make it look good. But most of the money is not going there. It's going to the riots that we've seen. It's going to the false flags. It's going to war. It's going to overthrow governments in other countries. It's going to those individuals that are actually carrying out the orders of the deep state players, and they get paid via kickbacks. Yeah. That's where all of this is going. So
why do you think all these people are getting scared and they're getting loud? Because they're getting kickbacks. Some of those regular Democrats are starting to find out and realizing this.
Entire time, for many, many, many years, the people have been paying for all of this. We've been paying for everything that we see, which means all these terrorists, all these shootings, all these different things, they were instigated by the deep state players, and they did it on purpose to push us to give up our rights, which we just can't give up because they had to convince us that they're privileges, to push certain laws, to get us into war, and to keep us controlled. That's what all of this is about. But now Trump and Elon, they're unwinding all of this.
Yes.
And Trump, he just shut down the deep state players, because you remember.
And he's doing it left and right. I mean, like nonstop. It's easy to see if you want to see it.
All throughout the process of cutting these programs, exposing these programs, you know there's going to be lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. And now Trump has said, listen, you want to sue me? Go right ahead. Sue the government. But again, if you lose, I'm signing an executive or saying that you're going to incur all the costs when you lose, because most of these lawsuits that are now being put into action, like, oh, you can't fire me, oh, you can't shut off the aid, in the end, when it goes to the Supreme Court, they know that they're going to lose. So now they're going to have to think twice about all of this, because once they lose, which they will, they're going to have to incur the costs of the lawsuit and pay back everything the government spent. Think about that for a second. The other thing that Trump just did, he shut off the intelligence to Perkins Coie. You know, the law firm that is involved with Clinton, Obama, and the rest.
Yeah, he just did that the other day. I thought that was amazing when he signed that executive order for Perkins Coie. I don't know if anybody else caught that, but man, it was amazing.
So there's
a lot of things going on behind the scenes.
State players, they're being cut off from Intel. They are now running blind like we've never seen before.
And they're
absolutely incredible. And Trump, he's just exposed who is actually at war with Russia. No, it's not Ukraine. As soon as Trump shut down the intelligence to Ukraine, you know what happened? It actually exposed who's actually at war with Russia. And now everyone can see it. Now,
That's what I've been saying. It's easy to see. Everyone can see it. The deep state, you can see it plain as day. You guys can't see it. Check out the X-22 report. I can tell you he's at 3,590 plus economical ones too as well. He is spot on. The guy is a genius. I don't even know where he gets all his information from, but this gentleman is spot on. I'll have his link below. X-22 report on Rumble.
they're screwed. And I do believe this is how Trump is getting Zelensky and getting Putin now to come to the table to talk about peace. Plus, Trump now is bringing Obama and John Kerry into focus because he sent a letter to Iran because he wants to talk about the nuclear deal, the nuclear weapons. So we could see we're moving into another phase right now, and this is going to be very, very interesting as we move forward. Basically, the deep state players at this point, they're being shut down, exposed at every turn. And I do believe as this continues and as this information comes up and it starts to combine with the Epstein client list and Diddy and everything else, this is the storm that is definitely heading our way. And when you take this to the next level, and you talk about Biden, who was the resident at the time in the White House, and you talk about the auto pen, where it looks like there were staffers and others actually just signing things. We're talking about fraud here. We're talking about everything that Biden has done, everything that he's put into place.
We're talking about fraud, unlike you've never seen before. They're catching people left and right.
It might be null and void at this point because once again, if he is cognitively impaired, just like Herr said when he did the investigation about the documents that he had in his garage, that means the auto pen that was used by the staffers and others, they've committed fraud on the people. Because remember, when you go back a little bit in time, sometimes Biden didn't even know that he signed something. He had no clue whatsoever because remember, he wasn't running the country. So who was actually making decisions? Obama? I do believe so. We're going to be talking a lot more about this a little bit later. First, let's talk about the interview with Gavin Newsom because Charlie Kirk sat down with Gavin Newsom. And actually,
I'm going to fast forward that a little bit. I don't want to go past.
The criminals, when they understand that they can just borrow and make up ridiculous programs and send the money off to these ridiculous programs and have it kicked back to them.
That's what I was saying. And it's all a money laundering system. And these programs are sent year after year after year to, let's say, Iraq or whatever, and then sent back to that person, like a congressman.
It breeds corruption.
Maybe
I don't care how many safeguards you have in place. Eventually what's going to happen are those people that are safeguarding it, they're going to be removed. And they're going to put the people that they want into place. And that's what we've seen over time. The only way to get rid of all this is to go directly to the Federal Reserve. And this is why Trump and his team are changing the entire economic system, because we're going to be moving away from the Federal Reserve and we're going to fund our country from the outside instead of funding it from the inside. Right now, we fund it from the inside from our taxes. Soon, we're going to be funding it from the outside. We'll no longer need to borrow the currency, which means we will no longer need the Federal Reserve, which means we're not going to have the corruption that we have today because they just won't be able to borrow because we have a finite amount of funds coming into this country. So we're going to see something very, very different moving forward. Yes. But again, we got to get there. And I do believe we're heading in the right direction right now. Now, the other thing that we could see on the border is that the border wall in Texas, it looks like they started construction once again. And I do believe we're going to be ramping up construction all across the southern border. And we're going to be putting up the walls all over the place. And
I hope
I do
so.
believe this time around, Trump will actually finish the wall. I do believe he left it unfinished the first time around
Yes.
because he needed to show the people how these individuals wanted to destroy.
That's what I've been saying all along, guys. He left just that little bit of wall just so you can see the other side care less. And then they sold it for pennies on a dollar. Your money.
The country and how they were never ever going to secure the border. So he left it up to the residents saying, listen,
Right.
everything's paid for. Here's the material. All you got to do is finish the wall. He knew he wouldn't. But again, sometimes you got to show the people the truth. And that's what people saw. Now, the other thing
what
that's
I
very
said.
interesting is that
That's why I follow X22 report, because he is amazing, guys. You need to go check out the X22 report.
we always know
So I'm going to fast forward.
that the criminals,
Well,
they
it's
always
gonna be-
reward each other.
In fact,
Gotta
you
go
can
through
charge
this
up
ad.
to and drain down your Patriot
I'll
Power
skip
Generator
through it here.
2000X over
For doing what they're told to do. And this is when you see like Obama and Biden giving people medals, and you look at these people and say, why are they getting medals? Because again, they're part of the criminal syndicate and they're doing what they're told to do. And once they do it,
Right.
they give them a medal. They reward them for their duty. The same thing when you look down at New York, the SDNY, you see the individual, James Dennehy, he got a parade with bagpipes for holding back the Epstein documentation. I mean, really think about that for a second. But this is how the deep state works. This is how the criminal syndicate works. They have certain
And FBI. You know what I mean? We don't have none of that stuff. Where's the Diddy list?
individuals in place, and once they do what they're told, they are rewarded with either pay or a medal or who knows what.
Right.
And once again, you could see that Trump and the Patriots, they're exposing the entire criminal syndicate one step at a time, and there's no escape from this.
There's no escape.
Nothing's going to stop this.
Nothing to stop
Absolutely
what's
nothing. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is we could see that DeSantis right now, he's looking to repeal the red flag laws, pass open carry, and lower firearm purchases to 18. Now, once again, this should be a very, very simple thing. We have the Constitution.
We have the Constitution.
We
already.
have
It's
the
easy.
Second Amendment.
It's ours.
We don't need all these laws. We
Don't
don't
need it.
need all these different things. Every single one of these laws is repugnant to the Constitution.
That's right, guys. The Second Amendment is for the Second Amendment. You have the right to carry. They bring these freaking laws so you and I, being brainwashed, think that we're being controlled, and then over time believe that we have to have these rules and laws, so we're more suppressed. Where the Second Amendment is the law. And so we've dealt with all these so-called laws for so long that our judges are corrupt and evil as well.
And it violates our rights. And all we need is to go back to the Constitution. That's it. All these other laws and
right.
everything that they created is basically infringing on our rights. I mean, if you're saying that I have to pay to carry a weapon, that's infringing on my right.
infringing.
What happens if I have no money? It makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, think about it.
Same
Take
with
the First
driving.
Amendment, for example. When everyone looks at the Second Amendment, go, oh, no, we need safety. Well, what about the First Amendment? If you needed a license to speak freely, is that in violation of the First Amendment? Of course it is.
Yes.
So it should apply to the Second Amendment. And every
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that you have to go through all that. I mean, it's a violation for your constitutional rights.
discovers, talk about our health. The reason
Yeah,
behind
I'm
wrinkles
just
isn't
gonna
always in our
Just keep
partners.
skipping through
The
here
incredible
because, I don't want to copyright strikes, but X22 Report is an amazing site. This is only one of the videos that I'll go through. Every once in a while, I'll skip through one. But X22 Report, 100%. I am sold. I've been watching for the last 4 to 6 years, I think it was. He was one of the guys that basically told the truth, and it started coming truth.
Alone right now, so he can do things in the background. I do believe that is an absolutely incredible strategy. Now, the other thing that we see is that FBI Director Kash Patel, he put out a post on X and he says, I can now report that today the FBI, along with our interagency partners, led by AG Pam Bondi, arrested 2 active duty U.S. Army soldiers and 1 former U.S. Army soldier for theft of government property and a bribery scheme. So we have Jian Zhao and Li Tian, active duty U.S. Army soldiers stationed at Joint Base Lewis McChord, along with Raoul Dewan,
that's where I was
a
at.
former U.S. Army soldier, were arrested today following indictments by federal grand juries in the District of Oregon and the Western District of Washington.
It's Oregon.
Tian and Dewan were charged in the District of Oregon for...
You know, we're going after these low-hanging fruit. I mean, let's go after the big fish. We got plenty of evidence.
conspiring to commit bribery and theft of government property. Zhao was charged in the Western District of Washington for conspiring to obtain and transmit national defense information to an individual not authorized to receive it, and also for bribery and theft of government property. So it looks like they're now cracking down and basically going after those individuals that are selling our secrets. Actually, Cash, maybe you should look at Hillary Clinton because she did the same exact thing.
Yeah, no doubt.
I do believe eventually, actually probably pretty soon, he'll be heading in that direction.
Yeah.
Now, we
We'll
could see
see.
that the deep state players, they're trying to make it as difficult as possible for Trump to have peace in the Middle East and out in Ukraine. But we could see that Trump, he pretty much outsmarted them. Number one, we know that Trump, he put out a message to Hamas. He said, shalom, that means hello, goodbye, you choose. You must return all the hostages to Israel and to the U.S. And Hamas came out and said, we will kill the hostages if Israel attacks. So, did they just admit that the hostages are alive? Because when they return the hostages and they're not alive, it means they killed them. Actually, they trapped themselves in all this, because if they return the hostages and they're alive, okay. But if they return them and there's none alive, that means they killed them and they lied during the negotiations, which means I don't think there'll be a problem with Israel and the U.S. going all out on Hamas.
That's exactly right, and that's might happen. But if you guys been watching this video for this long, go check out the X22 report on Rumble. It is on Rumble. So, and also, would you please do a little sharing and subscribing to my channel? I do all political stuff like that, so you don't have to go looking. I'm gonna skip right through that.
That was just petty, right? About the whole clothes thing. Like, this has nothing to do with the situation, right? But now he's trying to be diplomatic. Diplomatic by being cool, by reading the room, lowering the tension when he has the possibility to. In which that's what he tried to do. But this woman wanted him to stay on subject and speak on securities.
I can't stand that woman.
I don't know if you two like each other, but you know what? I think
I like this guy. I think
Her hand on her chin.
I have more serious things than answer on such
Look,
issues.
watch
I will
her.
answer on more serious questions if I can. Yeah, so please.
Watch her.
About security guarantees and about a ceasefire.
See? When he
she's
said, okay, about security guarantees and about the ceasefire, she took her chin down. I'll rewind it again.
Such questions. I will answer on more serious questions if I can. Yeah, so please. About security guarantees and about a ceasefire. We can't just...
See? Now she's glad. He's back on subject.
So it looks like this was a complete and utter setup.
Setup. That's
And
what I
like
was
we said
thinking.
before, it was a setup, and Trump set up them, and now he's in control of the matter, because what he did at this point is he removed everything from Ukraine. He shut down the aid.
Do you see how awesome the X-22 report is? I'm telling you, go check out the X-22 report. I mean, still check out my channel. I appreciate that. But, man, the X-22 report from front to back is amazing. He does an amazing job. And he also does an economical one, too. And that'll blow your mind as well. And that's a little long or shorter videos. But, man, every day he comes out with a video. So go check him out and like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.
Shut down the weapons, shut down the intelligence. And he said, you know what? Let Europe handle this. Let everyone else handle this. Let's see how this all plays out. But he did something which is very, very important, which actually exposed what was really going on in Ukraine. I'm not talking about bio labs. We know that was happening. We know the money laundering was happening.
Right. Yeah.
I'm talking about who was really fighting the war. But before we get to that, we could see the European Union, well, they failed. Nick Sorter put this out and said, the European Union has failed to reach a deal for Ukraine as emergency meeting ends with no funding or rearmament. This was so predictable. Zelensky fled to the UK after being booted out of the White House by Trump, hoping the EU would bail him out. But it turns out Europe is broke because of their self-created migrant crisis. Now Zelensky will have to come back to the U.S.
Okay. I've been saying this all along, guys. Donald Trump knows what the hell is going on. He is one of the smartest men alive. I tell you this. I have told a lot of people this. It's weird that the guy knows exactly what's going on. It's almost like he time traveled or something. It's crazy on how right he is all the time. Just saying.
Now, what's very interesting about all of this, and remember what we said, Trump exposed who was actually doing the fighting in Ukraine. Then we have Trump, he put this out and he says, based on the fact that Russia is absolutely pounding Ukraine on the battlefield right now, I'm strongly considering large-scale banking sanctions and tariffs on Russia until a ceasefire and final settlement agreement on peace is reached. To Russia and Ukraine, get to the table right now before it's too late. Thank you. So Trump then sent this to Putin saying, listen, if you keep this up and you keep fighting, and Zelensky, if you keep doing this, you're going to get no aid, no weapons, no intelligence. Putin, we're going to be placing sanctions on your banking sector. Now, in the public eye, this looks fantastic. And it looks like he's not cozying up to Putin because he's going to place sanctions.
We have some breaking news that just came across. Donald Trump has fired the U.S. pardon attorney from the Department of Justice. Donald Trump has fired the U.S. pardon attorney from the Department of Justice. And then other breaking news is more than 4,000 Defense Department personnel started receiving termination notices from their employers this week. And then one last one, and this is ridiculous. If you guys seen the State of the Union or address the Congress, Al Green, Senator Al Green, the one that stood up and was yelling whatever he was yelling, claims the removal and censure by the House were solely motivated by racism. You see what they're doing, guys? You see what they're doing? It's sickening. It's racism. No, it's you have to follow the law, the rule of law.
On him.
Simple.
He's not bowing down to Zelensky. Actually, the optics are very, very good. So think about what Trump has and think about what he just did.
Yeah.
When Trump.
Now I'm gonna fast forward just a little bit. Like I said, I highly recommend going to Rumble and check out X-22 reports.
They were in contact with their handlers. This is why they had so many phones. And very, very soon, I do believe we're going to find out that this was an inside job, because there's no way in the world that these individuals were going to be able to carry this out unless somebody was assisting. And I do believe it was an operation from the very, very beginning. And to have an operation, what do you
Patriot Power Generator
Yeah,
2000X is
I think
only
it's all a huge
18.25
operation.
inches long,
That's why
13
I
inches
say
wide.
that.
do? You bring in the worst of the worst.
I say it's a big operation. It is the biggest sting operation in American history. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. It's to wake the American people up. Well, hell, the world, really.
Bring in the DEI so they have no idea what's going on, and it makes it a lot easier to pull off the operation. And if the FBI wasn't involved in it, why would they spray down the roof? Why would they cremate the body? Since this is an ongoing investigation, it makes no sense whatsoever. You only do that to cover up evidence.
Right.
And that should tell you everything you need to know. Plus, the phones that they had, well, they tracked them down. One was in the high school that the kid attended. Another phone was next to the FBI building in D.C., and some of them are still pinging. So that is very, very interesting.
Yes,
now,
it
the
is.
other thing that's really interesting is you could see that all these different blue judges, and I'm talking about the deep state D judges, they're still trying to stop Trump from what he's doing. But at every turn, they're going to fail. And it's going to get harder and harder for these individuals. But Julie Kelly, she put this out and said, Obama appointee Barbara Howell has always been on the top of my impeachment list. For nearly a decade, she has wielded her unchecked power, mostly as Chief Justice of D.C. District Court, behind the scenes to try to destroy President Trump. She oversaw grand jury proceedings for both Robert Mueller, then Biden's DOJ for criminal investigations into Trump. She is power-hungry, out-of-control psychopath who needs to be removed ASAP. In a 36-page seething tirade just docketed, Howell takes numerous personal shots at the president while ordering the reinstatement of Biden-appointed member of National Labor Relations Board, who was removed by Trump last month. These are not the words of a fair-minded, even-tempered judge. It is the ranting of a lunatic who is infuriated. Her decade-long crusade to crush Trump didn't work. Frustrated at her failure, Howell repeatedly insists the president broke the law by failing to give the dismissed NLRB member a reason why she was getting the boot. Impeach, Julie says. And she should be impeached.
Yeah, you can go follow Julie Kelly. She's on X.
Mike Davis responded to this, and he said the following. Serious question for activist judges. Can Congress pass a law restricting your ability to fire your law clerks and secretaries? Wouldn't that violate Article 3? So how doesn't it violate Article 2 for Congress to restrict the president's ability to fire executive officers? Absolutely. But you can see Trump, he is now shutting down the intelligence for the deep state players. And they are now blind. Perkins Coie,
Right.
they had their security clearance revoked. And remember, these individuals, they work with Clinton, Obama. They worked on the Russian hoax. They were all involved in this.
Yep.
But Brian Cates, he responded to this and says, he's blinding the D.C. lawfare elite that have been using their access to the classified system to spy on him. Set him up for multiple impeachment attempts and dozens of lawfare cases. Norm Eisen and his ilk need the access to try to plot their countermoves to Trump's strategies before he goes public with them. Trump is already overwhelming them by advancing two routes.
That's exactly right. And you see how Donald Trump is going so fast on everything? It's like lightning speed. The guy never sleeps. How many Donald Trumps is there? Is the question. Yeah, I mean, because I was looking at something on X not too long ago, and it was basically showed like 4 different Donald Trumps, and I was like, ew, because every once in a while I would like come into a video and Donald Trump's golfing, and I'm like, oh, okay. Then I look at another Donald Trump, and I'm like, oh, okay.
rapidly
Something's
for
not
their
right.
countermeasures on too many fronts. Now he's compounding their difficulties by
I'm
removing
a
their official
conspiracy
access to the
theorist anyway.
classified system. You could be assured
Well, I am,
Musk and his
actually.
Doge team are setting up the tripwires that catch these lawfare gangsters should they stubbornly attempt to illegally sustain their access to the classified system via unofficial channels. Musk and Doge, as White House tech support, has shifted the ground to Trump's favor. This highly organized lawfare mob at these law firms are now interlopers if detected inside the classified system. Trust Trump's ruthless and vindictive nature when it comes to revenge. And yes, he's cutting them all off, and now they are blind. They can't see what's going on. They can't counter Trump, and it's becoming very, very difficult for the deep state players. Now, the other thing that's really interesting is that we can see all these lawsuits where all these people that are getting fired, they're suing, they're going up to the blue
Sue all you
judges.
want.
These are the deep state judges that were installed, and they're trying to fight Trump. But Trump, he did something very, very interesting. Melissa Hallman put this out and said, among the executive orders President Trump signed today was one that holds individuals accountable for the costs incurred when they challenge his policies in court. Whenever someone tries to challenge our policies in court, so that when they end up losing in court, and we believe they will end up losing in court, they can be held financially responsible for the disruption to federal activities
Perfect.
that their actions have caused.
That's right.
So think about this for a second. So all these individuals that are going to their deep state judges trying to stop him from doing these things, when it goes up to the Supreme Court and they lose, they're responsible. That's probably why Dellinger decided to try to, do a fast one on the appeals court. Margot Cleveland put this out and said, Dellinger sends a letter to Court of Appeals saying, since he decided not to pursue legal remedy, the appeal is moot. That's not quite how that works. Until the case is dismissed, the appeal is live. Not sure why Dellinger filed letter with court, but might be because government seeks to obtain ruling, which not sure how they could do that if Dellinger voluntarily dismisses, although that might be something they need permission for. Or maybe he's going to be responsible for the cost because he doesn't really have a case, because he doesn't want it to go to the Supreme Court. Is he panicking? He's a little bit nervous. It's starting to seem that way. Now, yesterday we talked about how it was discovered that
It's crazy.
Biden's signature was done by an auto pen.
Has anybody seen Biden? Is he still alive?
And what's very interesting about this is we know when Herr was
Weekend at
investigating Biden, he said he didn't have the cognitive ability to understand what he was doing. So if that is the case and they were using the auto pen, doesn't it mean that this is completely unconstitutional, everything that he signed? Or does it mean that it's fraud? Because if he didn't know what he was signing, and if you go back a little bit in time and you see sometimes when the press asks him, hey, you signed this, he goes, I did?
Are you guys listening to what he's saying?
I don't think he knew half the time
No.
what was being signed. I think they were doing it behind his back.
I actually think there's going to be a lot of things reversed. Pardons, maybe?
And they were using an auto pen. So if this is proven, and we know that Andrew Bailey, he's actually looking into this. If this is proven that he had no knowledge of this, this is fraud to the American people. It's unconstitutional. And that means everything is null and void.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, guys. Everything's null and void. I mean, that's the way I see it anyway.
Karma Patriot says, follow the pen.
Follow the pen.
And we must follow the pen.
Follow
now,
the
the
money.
other thing that's very interesting is that Dan Scavino, he put out a video. It looks like he is in the video taking a video.
No. If you haven't followed Dan Scavino is an aide to the Trump administration. He puts out a lot of different videos, but they're coded of some sort. I don't know. They all have meaning.
Video of the White House at night, and he's playing a song, and it's about the July 13th Butler rally assassination. And this post was put out at 22:56, which is very, very interesting because this post, 22:56, says, reminder, prior to each rally, threats are called into local and federal authorities. Now, Trump, he's getting a report on the assassination attempts.
That's right.
I wonder how this is all going to play out.
You see, okay, so Trump knows it all. He has it all. He said it many times. We have it all. It just got to get presented in court.
I wonder if we're going to see emails or text messages from FBI agents. I wonder if no one reported this, because if it was called in and the local authorities reported to federal authorities, and the federal authorities said nothing, this is going to be very, very interesting.
Ouch.
I do believe Trump and the Patriots have set them up right now. And
That's exactly what that's my opinion is Trump is just, and Trump and the team is just setting them up. Man, you got to check out X22 report.
I do believe the country is going to find out that there were certain individuals that tried to assassinate Trump. Remember, Trump right now is making every single one of these people feel pain every step of the way. And it's going to get worse and worse as time goes on. Everything that they set up, everything that they try to do, everything they try to cover up, all their money laundering, all their sex trafficking, child trafficking, all their pedophile networks, everything is going to be exposed. And every step of the way, these people are going to feel pain and more pain and more pain because they don't know what's coming out next. And
that's exactly right, guys. They don't know what's coming out next. They're squirming. And Donald Trump is going 1,000 miles per hour, and they can't even keep up. And they don't even know what to argue about. They're arguing about each other. You see what I'm saying? So, hey, guys. This is one of these episodes. If you guys like this episode of X22 Report, my reaction to the X22 Report, feel free to see me tomorrow because I'm going to have another episode tomorrow of the X22 Report. But I want you to go check him out and subscribe to his channel because it is an amazing, amazing video, guys. And with that being said, I do not edit my videos at all. All I do is do my thing, being honest with you, and so on. So if you would please subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up. We can't do thumbs down on this thing, but give me a thumbs up and hit the notification bell so you can get these reports if you like them. If you don't like them, then just skip. But thanks so much for coming in today, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.